Just want to make sure we got every result up here. Right, that's good. Jenkins, should we try a first tip?
May as well. See what happens.
Right then, fuck it, why not? So, fuck it, why not? Right then, Jenks. So, we're back doing another fucking podcast, I suppose. Well, another podcast, the first one we've actually fucking done.
Yeah, I was going to say, we haven't exactly racked up a big... This is what...
Yeah, this is
first
about
time
100, ladies and gentlemen. I'm joking.
I was going to say, this is the first time in
100, drop 99. Fucking Christ.
Yeah. God, this is like the first time we've done anything like this in, what, 3 years?
Mate, 3 years, but have we improved? Or is the chemistry gone?
Some say that you know, people age like wine, better with age. We age like milk.
Sour and spoiling my meal.
Exactly.
Fuck's sake. But yes, right. So we're actually doing a cross-border Brotherhood podcast, fucking for once in our life.
Yes.
After
we managed to organise something
bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Right then,
yeah.
Well,
anyway,
we know the reason why we've decided to do this. It's a World Cup year. We've had, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17 games have gone, and now we're jumping into the fray. With, by the way, for anybody wondering, wait, 17 games gone, what match would that make it? It was Wales-Australia today, and I'm still in my Wales kit. Because
don't blame me. I'm actually wearing my England strip now, so I'm happy.
Yeah, good man. Good man. But,
I mean, we did good too. It's just you guys did somewhat better.
Yeah, well, right, so I just want to welcome anybody's face who is here for rugby, here because of the past, here because of the now. I'm Rhodders 94, or Rhodders, as will be known, or Rod, or Oi Prick, Welsh boy. That's me, and then we got Samwise, who's the other one who is doing most of the biased English talking.
Yes. Hello. Lovely to be here. Hello. Sorry for any inconvenience we may have caused.
Yes, English via a Welsh surname.
Yes, thank you. I've been reminded that.
Plenty of
time. I live on the border. We're keeping you beggars out.
You live in the Shire. You're fine. Anyway.
Yeah, pretty. Anyway,
big talking point. Let's talk about the match. The game today.
Well, I personally wish Alan Wynne-Jones and George North the best for the future. I hope they have many happy years together.
Oh, for God's sake.
And the children will be giants.
The children will be giant with big, powerful thighs.
Christ, it would be the Welshest thing on the planet, wouldn't it?
Gorgeous thighs of Wales.
He literally just lives off cowl, you know.
Alan Wynne North, like
cowl and Welsh cakes for breakfast. That's all he has. Alan Wynne North. Christ, there's a name.
Oh, Jesus!
Sounds like a bus company, doesn't it?
Hello, welcome. I am your conductor today for Alan Wynne North. We're going to rail via Bangor.
If any of you are standing up the back of the bus, I swear to God, I'm going to drop you across the border.
Anyway, let's talk Wales, Australia.
Well,
fucking 29-25 to Cymru. It was brilliant.
I mean, huge plus for the Welsh. I mean, that is a massive. I mean, the commentators were saying at the end, massive statement towards England, towards New Zealand, towards South Africa, and it really is, because there was a time which I very much enjoyed when Wales just could not beat Australia. It just wasn't a thing.
Dude, it wasn't a thing, and now we've beaten them back to back, I'm pretty sure.
Which is fantastic.
Hey, look at it this way, right? Australia tried doing what Wales were doing in the Six Nations.
Yeah.
Let's be honest, they weren't their first half, and I think Wales knew, okay, we're going to steal some points early on, and I think it was a drop goal within a minute.
From 43 seconds.
43 seconds for Bigger to drop goal, and then
I mean,
it kind of broke him.
It did. The mental edge was there. I mean, that's the way you seem to be able to really smack it against the Aussies. I mean, at least from our point of view, if you talk about the whitewash of 2016, 17, I forget.
2016, I think it was.
But it's literally what Wales did. It was just rush ball them. full on, in their face, bang, 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 bang. Don't give them any possession. They can't do fuck all.
No, they couldn't do much, but like that was the first half. First half, Wales set the standard. They took 3 points in the second half, and then Australia just took the game.
And it's so. I knew they'd come back. I said to you today, they're going to come back, and they had. They did it against Fiji. You know, I think it was it Hooper or Foley? I think it might have been Foley. They said, "Do you want to take the points?" He said, "Yep, we'll take the points. Then we'll score a try. Then we'll take the lead."
And I'll give them that. Australia had like such a better game plan. I'll give it a check out in the second half. I think he changed up such a thing. I took Genya off, I believe, brought White on and changed their 10.
He is not a happy bunny. Do you hear him after the match?
No, I didn't.
I mean, I don't know what's happening with reffing in the rugby at the moment. It seems all right to me. I think the refs seem really on edge about this high tackle business. Except for Nigel, because Nigel's gone. But...
Nigel's just such a good. He's such a good ref, and you know a lot of people were slating. The scrutiny on this World Cup has been so far has been the refereeing, and
you
know, and
perhaps unfairly.
there was two instances where the game got taken away from Australia. I think was there was one instance where they got lucky where there was a high tackle.
Now. Is this the one? Now, this confused me because didn't... who was it? Someone tackled... it was Patchell. Patchell tackled Karebi, I think.
I'm on about earlier on where Bigger was dropped the shoulder on.
Oh, that one. Yeah, because
let's break it down first half. So, there was that tackle, which was a penalty and nothing more. There was another tackle... which was later in the game, which I believe was Josh Adams, where he tried rapping, but the man was like, his head, he wasn't going down, but his head was like lowered. So, and to be fair, that was a right call. I don't think that was the...
I mean, fair play to Roman Poit. He really had to think about that one, but he got it right.
Yeah, you know, I don't think he got the one earlier right, though. The one on Bigger. That was a yellow card. You know,
I mean, he had to go off for concussion, so straight away
We will come back to it, though. We'll come back to the Uruguay-Georgia game later, but I want to make a point. There was a red card in that game, the first game on today, and there was a red card in that for probably a very similar tackle, and I don't see how. I think it was they mentioned it in commentary where it was like tier 1, tier 2 favoritism, but I'm like, stupid. Well, there was a red card in the game first up, and then, you know, there wasn't even a card in this game, so I think, there's a little bit of that, but...
Thing is, the way I see it, I don't see it as potentially biased, although I think because tier 2 teams don't play the same amount of rugby as, you know, as Wales, as England, whatever, tier 1 nations, that their discipline isn't quite as rock solid as, well, let's say rock solid, or it's not quite up to scratch as compared to tier 1 nations, so they are going to be probably under more scrutiny because the refs expect tier 1 level of discipline.
Yeah, but saying that, if they're expecting tier 1 discipline, would you not think then that warrants more of a reason for a card?
Fair point.
It should warrant more of a reason for a card to be given, but... Hey,
I mean, that being said, it could be a benefit of the doubt sort of thing.
I'm not going to lie. I'm not grumbling, you know.
No.
Right, so let's break it down piece by piece then. There was obviously the first points of the game were Bigger with the drop goal. Then I believe it was Hadley Parks off a free possession, more or less. It was a penalty to Wales. They kicked crossfield, and Parks took a hell of a one in the corner and touchdown. You know, can't fault that. That was a good try. And then
pretty damn awesome.
Bigger converting that, and then I think it was the break from Davis. That
Gareth Davis, was it?
He nearly did it in the second half as well. The pick,
that was
the pick
beautiful.
The pick between fly half, I think it was fly half and centre for Australia. It was there twice. A lot of teams have got to target that, especially if England, like Eddie Jones was there today. Eddie Jones was there, and he would have been watching that game. Everybody saw him. As soon as everybody saw him, hi Eddie, get out, mate. Well, yeah, come on now. It's the age-old thing of the rival coach. He was an Aussie, so no Aussie liked him.
I was going to say, the Aussies think he's a bloody traitor.
He's coaching England, so the Welsh don't like him. No wonder he was wearing a fucking,
Yeah, but the
Baseball cap trying
Japanese,
to keep
they
his-
fucking love him.
Well, no shit they do. No shit they do. They probably fucking
No
watch
shit
this
they
out. Fuck. Hey, watch now. we can't be saying that shit. But right. So Davis's try. But I think more than anything, anybody will take away that the gap between 10 and 11, 10 and 12 for Australia is huge, and people can snipe ball off it. It happened in the first half with Davis's try. He nearly did it again in the second half. So, but
it was absolute filth.
Absolute filth. It was
The
terrible.
whole try was just disgusting. I said it was disgusting, but good disgusting.
It was, it was robbery. It was daylight robbery. But in if you look in the grand scheme of the game, it was robbery. But in the first half, it was expected because Wales was so on top. So
yeah, they were dominant.
Davis's try. Patchell took the conversion. Patchell with 3 penalties as well during the game. And a drop goal, as well as Bigger with a conversion and a drop goal.
Fair play to Patchell. He's really upped his game.
I'll give the boy that. To be fair, he's come. Look at it this way: from the last World Cup cycle to this one, he's come from nowhere.
Gats just brought it. Well, that's happened with a couple of our boys, but he's just found him out of nowhere, and he's really. Obviously, being a Welshman, naturally incredibly passionate to play for his country, but he's not bad. He is not bad at all.
He's a solid 10, and not saying that Dan Bigger's anywhere near fucking retirement, but I don't think Bigger's gonna make, or he might not be up to the standard when it comes round to the next World Cup cycle. I'm not saying he's not gonna be in the squad. I'm gonna say he's not gonna be a starting 10.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I say that they're almost bringing Patchell through to be his replacement, and it's such a good thing. Because
it's a good sort of mentorship, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And, he's learning so much about the game. I believe he plays Scarlets, doesn't he?
Does he?
Yeah. So, he's learning so much already off, senior members of the Welsh squad being in that team, the Sheriff, Ken Owens, and he's learning so much off, people within the league as well. I think it's a good thing.
You think about the depth of experience that Wales have at their back, the old boys who are still there, Alan Wynne, Liam Williams, George North, Ken Owens, Hadley Parks, all of those lads can teach him.
You look at the team. You look at the team who played today, and, you got Alan Wynne Jones, who's got his 130th cap for Wales. Today. Yeah. You're talking, you can't, he's got to be, is he the record setter? I think he's got the most caps for Wales.
I think he has now.
Because Gethin Jenkins was the record setter, wasn't he? He cleared over 100.
Was he?
Yeah, Gethin had over 100 caps for Wales, I'm pretty sure. But anyway, by the by. But you look at the depth of the teams, and even not taking away from Australia, they had Curtly Beale on the bench, for God's sake.
Yeah, did they use him?
Yeah, he came on second half. But look at it this way, right? In the game, we're talking strength and depth of the squad. I give Checker his dues because he made a call that nearly won them the game. He made one substitution in terms of bringing Tuma, is it? Tumau?
Tuma? Yeah.
Tumau. He brought him on, Matt Tumau. And
Matt Tomoa.
Tomoa, that's it. Twomua. Tomoa, that's the boy. And they brought him on, and he just took charge. He took charge at 10, and then you brought Nick White on, who had an absolute shocker against Fiji, and you brought on Curtly Beale.
Do you know what? They're missing, Shrek, what's his name? Big bald fella.
Oh, fuck's sake, mate. Australia for you. Come on now.
Yeah. The most generic Australian on the whole squad. You remember you and I singing "The Aussie Skipper Looks Like Shrek"?
In the Union in 2015.
That's we couldn't think of anything else to insult them, so we said "The Aussie Skipper Looks Like Shrek."
And just shouting it out across.
Anyway, God.
But those changes nearly took a game away from Wales. Let's not skip over Ashley Cooper's try in the first half. That was good. Even if he did slip over and nearly
took his head off.
He slipped over and he had a clean run at it. Fair enough. But then second half, Haylett Petty, 15.
Yes,
he scored a good try.
He is a constant threat for Australia.
Oh, good. it's no doubt, because like Australia, like you look at any team that Australia have had, and any like that they've always brought to a World Cup, they're always a threat. No matter what, any test you play Australia, they're always a threat. Even the thirds.
Yeah, I mean Australia. It's funny because they've been down and out for a while, but then they suddenly started to ascend again and start to look a
They
real
started
threat.
coming good at the right time.
I mean, the Bledisloe Cup's a good example. Was the Bledisloe?
Bledisloe Cup, yeah.
They
Against New Zealand.
put 47 points on the All Blacks and they beat them. I mean, that's huge.
That's huge. You know, in a year where there's no World Cup, you take that as such a good year. And like, say now if it was next year, like the World Cup was, and Australia did that this year, it'd be like, okay, Australia are moving into the World Cup with a lot of momentum. Australia were coming into this picking up steam, and I think they didn't get enough steam to come up against Wales to beat them. They nearly did, but they
I
didn't.
think if you compare Australia to the likes of Ireland, I think Ireland have crested the wave and they're in the descent, whereas Australia
We'll come to Ireland.
Yeah, we will.
Come to Ireland. All right, yeah, go on, bud.
No, Australia look like they're still in ascendancy. There's something not quite there yet.
Hey, thing is, right, even though they lost today, I think they're still favourites. Like
they've got
to be up there. Like when you're talking about the 4 or 5 teams that could win this thing, Australia have got to be amongst it.
When the World Cup started, I said to you, there's 4 teams I thought could win it: England, Wales, South Africa, New Zealand. Now I think there's a potential 6 teams. One of them being Japan.
You couldn't deny that Ireland were in that. Because they were ranked one. They were ranked one. They were going into it. But as we said, we'll come to Ireland. Let's tie a bow on the Wales-Australia game.
Yes,
and then
yes.
Let's move on to it, because,
so tantalising, isn't it?
Like the other big thing I think in this game that needs to be highlighted was the floodlight failure.
Yeah, what the hell? I was listening to it on the radio and they said the floodlights have gone out. Oh, what?
Huge moment for some reason. It was like, what the hell? Dude?
Yeah. Apparently part of the pitch had gone out, but apparently it hadn't. So maybe the fans were just in darkness. I don't know.
Half the stadium's in darkness. They just got on with it. They were like, nah, it's fine.
Well, they were saying like, oh, Roman doesn't notice. Now he has.
Oh, that's great. It's great. But Wales 29, Australia 25. It's a game like rugby, as they say. They say football's a game of 2 halves. Rugby, this game was a tale of 2 halves. You look like, as we said, Australia tried doing a Wales. 6 Nations, Wales didn't turn up in the first half, and they run away with games in the second half.
It's like they didn't win, but they won ugly.
You say about winning ugly, like one of the tries, the Hooper's try, like that was ugly rugby. But I'll give it to that. Australia, like Wales held the line within that 5 metre to try line. I think they held them for 16 phases.
I mean, it's that red brick wall, and unless you're going to run around it or have someone big enough to smash through it, you're not going to overturn it. So the Welsh were clever. They just held and held and held, and suddenly turnover. Slowest phase you would ever see. You could see the clock running down. Wait for the gong, kick it out.
Exactly.
Easy.
Fun game. That's it. And right. So Wales, Australia, 29.
In
summary, Wales got away with that.
I'd say Wales put in a better shift than the game entails, to be fair. But the Australians just fired back, and it shows how dangerous they can be. And I think because Wales were good enough to
weather the storm, they were good enough to weather the Australian
take their medicine a bit,
or the thunder from down under, But
it bloody was the thunder from down under, wasn't it?
And Wales weathered the storm, held their nerve, and managed to come away with a 29-25 win. Good from both teams, but it's going to be an interesting one to watch. Like where everybody, I think it's safe to say Wales are bollock-on favourite to win the group now.
Yeah, I should say so now, because who've you got left? You've got
Uruguay
Fiji
and Uruguay. Fiji and Uruguay.
Oh, poor Uruguay.
Yeah, we'll come to Uruguay. But
to be fair, Uruguay. Yeah, we'll come to Uruguay.
Right. So we're gonna work our way backwards, just so everybody knows. Like we've covered the Wales-Australia game, because let's be fair, there's a lot of talking points between the England games and the Wales games for us too, Jenks. You know, I'd say we're going to more dissect those games and then like give a grand coverage of the other ones because
because we know what we're on about with that. Well, we think we do.
We think we do. We kind of.
There's people going to be listening to this going, these two fucking idiots don't know what the hell they're on about.
Are they drunk? Are they?
Probably. We should be.
We should be. You know, it was a good win for Wales. So let's move it on. Wales, Australia. Let's go back in time then. 26th of September, and we're going for England, USA. England 45, USA 7. Now, Jenkins, I'm just going to say that should have been 45-0.
It probably should, but
should have been.
What I will say is, if you're not going to push to kick them while they're down, which is the attitude the All Blacks take, it's the attitude the Box take, it's the attitude the Welsh take. Let's not talk about what happened way back in
way back
2000 and come on, the 30-3 affair in Cardiff. 2009. No,
mate, 2000 and somewhat.
2000 and something anyway. In living memory, unfortunately.
In living memory, you know.
But you know what I mean. It's that attitude. You kick them while they're down, and they wanted to do the same thing. They had a point to prove, you know. And against a lower tier nation, you can do it. Credit to the US. You know, they worked hard. They were a man down. They probably shouldn't have scored that try, but they did. Right. But at that point in the World Cup, game's done. If that was any other nation, it'd be like England had been fantastic, blah, 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 you know? If that was...
Oh, my God, the USA scored a try, you know.
Well, exactly, you know, I think, there's certainly validity to the argument. But I think there really is something, especially in the press, England could have a fantastic game and they'll still crucify them for saying, oh, they should do this, they should do that, they should do this. Whereas if it was, say, Wales or Ireland... or, you know, or the All Blacks, they say, oh, it was magnificent, it was groundbreaking, they, you know, fine, they're flying, blah, 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 you know.
Yeah, you know.
It's very interesting to see that coverage, which...
Like, let's not sugarcoat it. Like, when you're looking at rugby and you look at, you know, the place it was made in England, and there will always be that extra scrutiny on, you know, the mother nation of rugby. It'll always be...
Fair shout.
You know, you know, it's named after a place in England, let's be honest. You know, a lot of people always scrutinise English because like a lot of Welsh people are going to hate me for this, but England have always been a rugby power and like, you know, a world power.
And we have been there and done that, so you know, that's a fair point.
It's like with every carnation of an England and Wales team, I think, like, you know, an England team and a Welsh team, there's been times where you've been world beaters. You've done it. You've won the World Cup in 2003.
Yeah.
Wales haven't done it, but we've won, like, you know, Grand Slams and won them well.
And they've been forces in rugby.
You know, but they've had low points. They've had very low points, you know.
Yeah.
Where I think it was 33-13, was it? The drumming in Millennium Stadium.
Yeah, and then obviously we had our really low point very recently under Eddie. You know, we had that all for South Africa. You know, that Six Nations that went down the toilet.
You know, there's so many points where England and Welsh rugby as a whole, you know, if you look at them as two separate nations, they follow very much a similar path. As when one crests a wave to go up, the other one crashes low. But I think for the first time in my living memory, at least, Wales and England are more or less on the same point.
Yeah, I'd agree. I would totally agree with that.
They're at the same level where if Wales and England were a semi
combined
or a quarter-final match, I think it would be a semi-final match. Wait a minute, if we don't meet you in the quarters, do we have a chance of meeting you in the final?
There is a potential. If everything goes well, there is a potential for an England-Wales World Cup final. I just want to see
the World Cup bracket quickly because
I think there is potential.
I just want to see the World Cup bracket because if that is the case, you know, imagine us coming out and playing each other in the final. Because let's see, winner of first team in Pool D plays second team in Pool C. So so semi-final stage. First team, second team. So winner of quarter-final 3 and quarter-final 4. The winner of that will play in the semi-final 2. So we also play in the second semi-final. You're not in Pool A or B. So if we don't meet in the quarters, it's a final.
Oh, isn't that tantalising?
That's what was that? That was the Junior World Cup a couple of years ago, I'm pretty sure. And England came out winners. So, You know, that's a big thing.
I mean, it's funny. Whenever I watch a rugby game, I get a gut feeling about it. It happened with Tonga. I thought we're gonna have a game on our Tonga, come flying out of this. Lo and behold, they did. Today, I had the feeling Wales are going to do it. And I believe if we faced Wales now, I think we'd really struggle. I think they'd probably do us quite significantly. However, you know, put it in a quarter-final situation. If we've beaten the likes of Argentina, we've beaten France, say, we've still got no injuries, then suddenly we've got our tails up and thinking, you know what, we'll have a go at you now. You know what I mean?
Like, the only thing that England have, if we get to a final, you've been to the big dance. You've been to the big dance and you've won it. You know, England have been in finals before. Wales haven't progressed further than a third-place playoff.
Yeah, I think Wales do better under pressure because Warren Gatland's a psychological genius.
Oh, come on, you can't like take away from Eddie. He can be a master of mind games. You know,
I love Eddie and he's very good at his mind games. I just think Gats is better.
Think of it this way: Wales versus England, New Zealand versus Australia.
Yeah,
that's it. But anyway,
it's both, isn't it?
It is. But we're going off on a tangent, right?
Aren't we?
England, USA, 45-7. You know, England a flood of tries. There's like a couple of. If we go through every score, I don't think we would need to. You know, Cock and a Singer had 2.
I mean, let's say at least one thing that all the world's dying to hear. Yes, ha ha, karma. Owen Farrell got the no arms tackled. How very funny. Ha 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 ha.
That's my
right.
big point.
That's that done.
People are bitching and moaning about that, right? But I'm gonna say it now because like World Rugby have been thinking about the whole amendment to the high tackle rule and the no wrapping rule and it's because of Farrell. Like he's a main contributor in the term of the rule reform.
Yeah.
He's been the guy who has hit so many of those tackles,
gotten
away with it. And Quill, rather.
Yeah.
He got caught.
Still thinking fucking Star-Lord.
Yeah, I think Star-Lord myself when I see it. And like Quill got caught and he went down for a red and it was a red. It was a correct red. You can't.
Yeah, it was. Absolutely. I think with Owen in the earlier situations, you're right, he's had some absolute stinkers that he's been lucky to get away with. Some of them he has wrapped arms. And I think that's been about
some of them he hasn't.
Some of them he hasn't. But some of them he hasn't. Some he has. And I think that's what's been the saving grace. It's tough.
Welcome
it's
to
very,
rugby,
very tough.
You get if it don't go your way, don't fucking bitch and moan at the ref like the Aussies were doing earlier. But get on with it.
Checker really was having a go, wasn't he?
Hey, fucking even Hooper was having a go on the pitch. I think his words were, "Are we not allowed to tackle anymore?" It's like,
well, it was. I mean, he had a point because I thought it was stupid that the receiver of the tackle was being penalised because he'd fended off with the arm.
Right. Like, the thing is, right, I can get, like, lateral motion of the arm to push. You either push away or you try and push up so you catch them on under the, your pectoral area and you push up and away.
Sort of the pectoral shoulder, isn't it? Yeah.
Being a front rower, that is my bread and butter. I will try and do that every time I have the ball. But, I can see why he got caught like that. But, again, it's details. It's details about the game that we don't need to worry about. Once World Rugby make it more clear on what this actual, whole thing is. I know they've released it, but in practice in a game, it's not working, and they need to think. They need to go over it.
They need to iron it out.
They need to iron it out. It wasn't the best thing to bring it in just before a World Cup. I think afterwards, so we can have a couple of, you can have a rugby championship, you can have a Six Nations, a couple of them before realizing, oh, maybe this rule isn't the best. And then remove it because they will. Yeah. They'll reform it again and make it a lot more.
Well, haven't they already reformed? They've reformed scrums, haven't they already?
Mate, just in terms of any other rule changes, I've just switched off to World Rugby because there's one a week. There's one a week.
Yeah, fair point. It's just like World Rankings. Well, to be fair.
Yeah, it's fine. Every Monday, they do World Rankings on a Monday. They do rule reforms on a Tuesday.
Exactly. Susan from McCann, she's very good.
She's a good girl. She's very attentive to the game. She likes hockey. That's her main sport. So, but points being, Quill got caught. Red card. England run the game from the first minute to the 82nd minute.
82nd, yeah.
You know,
mean, it was the conceding the tries, this, that, the other, but for the majority of the game, obviously they knew the US were going to come at us with a lot of fire, with a lot of passion. The Yanks are probably as patriotic as the Welsh.
USA.
I still think the Welsh are more patriotic because they don't, have to remind you that they're Welsh every 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh wait, yes they do.
Yeah. At least we don't have a thing called America.
Yeah.
America.
No, you don't.
They took it here.
But you know what I mean. Anyway, big powerful runners. There's that one winger, isn't there, who's meant to be the best in the bloody world and all this. But one player doesn't make a team.
No.
Look at Parise in Italy. And we pinned them back.
Oh
my God, I was drooling at the set pieces. I mean, our lineouts were fine. They weren't anything special. But the driving mauls, oh my God.
You look at it this way. Cock and a singer had two. I'd rather my dick and a dancer, but Cock and a singer, fair enough. Ford scored a try.
Sorry, I just got that.
Cock and a singer had two. Ford had a try. Vinopola had a try.
Good. I was going for Big Billy.
Cohen Dickey's second try of the World Cup.
That's four in 4 games.
Second try in a World Cup. What the fuck?
Second try in the World Cup. He's had 2 in the warm-ups. Prior to that. He's a hooker.
Ludlam scored. Who had the other one? Was it Muck Sounds English? No, Ford had one. I said about Ford.
Muck Sounds English. Yeah, McConaughey.
Yeah, Muck Sounds English. Yeah.
Muck Irish, basically. Only just figured out how to actually say his name.
He had a try.
I thought when I saw it, was like it's Rurari Rakuna Kirkakuchikichi. What? I'll just wait for the pundit to say it as usual.
Fucking.
It's like Cock and a Singer. I was like, Cock and a Singer.
It's like, Cock and the lasagna, you know what I mean? It's like, his name is fuck. But yeah, Ford had 5 conversions, It's like, 7 tries with 5 conversions.
40 got a try.
I know.
I thought, as a captain, we at the moment, it's pretty much going to be Faz. But 40, fair play to him. I was saying this when I was watching in the pub. 40's... His kind of style of captaincy is different to Farrell's. Farrell's more of a support, yelling at the back line, big punts down the pitch, make the play.
Yeah.
40 does the crossfield kicks. He'll make a bit of play, but then he'll lead from the front. You'll see him make a big tackle, or you'll see him do a turnover, and then, like he did so perfectly, it was like textbook rugby. He saw the gap in the line, just went, thank you, straight over.
But yeah,
got the ball rolling quite early, and
it was just 19-0 at the half, and then 45-7. One lapse in concentration. Campbell getting the try, and the old head of the US rugby team, McGinty, is it? With the conversion.
That's it, McGinty. Yeah,
McGinty,
Mind you, there was a bloody serious injury. Did you see? There was
who went down?
One bloke went down, and when you saw his face, it was like almost potential brain damage face. He didn't look good, and he went off on a stretcher. I haven't heard anything in the news since, but everyone was going, "Oh my God!" We hope he's all right. Because you don't ever want to see that in a rugby game. Unfortunately, it's the risk that players take. But
it was the was it the Wonder Boy for the United States, the prop? He went off in the first 2 minutes, and I think that's his World Cup.
That's what happens when you tangle with Dan Cole.
To be fair, right, I'll give the USA, they don't talk about many players in a high regard. As you talk about the English teams and everything like that. And they had this, I think, he's Hawaiian, or maybe, he's a Polynesian boy. Let's be fair. One of them, he's big. He's a big guy. And he got taken out the game early, which took, I think the Yanks were taken aback by that, and then
that was a big mental hit early on, wasn't it?
To lose one of the people in your team that you've been speaking about a lot in the run up to the World Cup, it's a big down point. But yeah, I think, should we stick a pin in England US 47-5, 45-7, because that game speaks for itself.
I mean, it was a bit scrappy. The Yanks came out of power. They deserved their try. They can try and carry on in the rest of the group. Really, they could really stick it to Argentina if they tried. Who else have we got? Tonga. Have Tonga played the US?
You had The US, Tonga. No.
Yeah.
Don't
No,
think
that I think Tonga could beat them. To be fair, but we'll see.
Well, we'll come to the Tonga game next. Let's go Wales, Georgia. Just before that.
I didn't see a lot of it, but that's pretty much. Well,
I was in work, so I didn't see a lot. But 43-14, you know.
It doesn't tell the tale of the game, does it?
You know, it was strong from Wales. It was a strong game. I think, like, you know, Wales were just as they were expected to be. They did a lot more experimental rugby in this one, I feel.
Yeah.
You know,
they
like,
could afford to.
It's like Wales have flipped their game plan because, like, in the first half in this game, in Australia, they were brilliant. In the first half in the Georgia game, they were brilliant. Second half, they just sat back. You know, it's like, you know, six try win, you know. And
I mean, it's funny. Romania get talked about all the time as this kind of emerging rugby power, but they're not quite there yet.
You know, they're getting there.
They're getting there. They're above bottom tier for sure because they stuck it to Uruguay today.
But you know, it's the whole thing. This is one of those games like USA and England and fucking, you know, USA the English versus Tonga. These are games that you expect to have victories against in, you know, a big way. And, like, you know, it was 43-14. You know, Georgia scored 2 tries, you know, 2 breaks, I'm pretty sure. You know, it was good stuff, and it was, you know, very good pushing rugby. But, you know, Wales, just as expected, 43-14. I don't want to go over much more. You know,
enough said, really. It was basically, I don't want to say it was a training exercise because that's not fair to the Georgians, but
no.
I mean, if you compare the two, you know, it may as well have been.
Mamukashvili, you know, he scored. You know, he's like one of the big names in the Georgian team. You know, he scored a try. But, you know, Wales, Georgia, done. You know, done. Fucking easy enough. And, like, the big one I wanted to talk about were the English results so far.
Mm-hmm.
Tonga, England, right? You know, it was 35-3. Let's be real. You know, 35-3. And you won it well at the end of the day. But, you know, Matt Dawson had, you know, a bit of stick for the boys after that game.
Yeah, I mean, it was the way he said it was like a wake-up call, wasn't it? You know, and he's right. We shouldn't play like that against, you know, better teams. Frankly.
You shouldn't play like that. You know, again, you can get away with it against lesser opposition.
But you can't with anyone else.
You know, tier 2 nations. You know, some of them will punish you, but you know, yeah, it's you know, they got the win. That's the most important thing. It was a win on the board. I mean,
what I think happened as well is that I don't think he's quite anticipated just how much Tonga was going to bring.
No, nobody anticipated how physical Tonga would be. Because let's be fair, they had that again. We're talking about another prop, but like people in the rugby world, well, the Tongan boy, he's like what?
That mountain of a man.
Well, how much do we?
24, 25 stone.
20. I think he's 24. I'm not too sure. What?
He's a big boy, and he still lasted 50 minutes.
You know, that's a good shift for a prop with that size. You know.
Yeah, I thought he'd want oxygen and be off by 5 minutes in, but fair play.
You know, it's just, you know, England run out, you know, eventual winners, I say, overall winners by a very, you know, safe margin. You know, you won by 32 points. It was a nice significant
win, you know, and Tonga really did stick it to us. I mean, Billy got completely smashed by I can't remember his name, was it Tuivi, something like that. And, you know, the world just went, way, you know, there ain't many who could do that to Billy Vunipola. No, that was pretty damn impressive.
The main guy who stood out for me was it the 7 for Tonga? He was
the
one who literally just put Vunipola on his ass. He put Tuolangi on his ass twice. You know, he was, and he played. I think he played a full 80.
What I love though is like, okay, the Tongans aren't working so well. Bring on the Samoan. And eventually, Manu did what Manu does, and I am so glad he's back and fit. You know, he seems to have shaken off the injury boo-hoo.
Hey, the voodoo of Tuolangi is gone, I think, and
he's
in the best shape of his career, I feel.
Do you know he saw a witch doctor? He genuinely went back to Samoa and he saw a witch doctor.
What did he say? Did he say ooh-ee, ooh-ah-ah, ting-tang,
ting-tang,
walla walla bing bang?
Yeah. Fucking hell.
Fuck's
But
Tuolangi, I'd say, is in the best shape of his career at the minute.
He looks it as well. I mean,
they banned him from squatting. They banned him from doing squats.
Jesus.
So that he, wouldn't get, any much more muscle mass. They said you need
man, you're big enough.
Just focus on your fitness, focus on getting back, and strengthening your muscles, and that's what he's done. He's looking powerful.
You look at the change in shape in his torso now, and it's just gone from being sort of broad one way to broad the other.
He's gone from bodybuilder ripped to
unit.
No, he's gone from strongman ripped to bodybuilder ripped. That's what I'm getting. But you see strongmen, they're big lumps and they don't have a lot of definition to them. They're the props of exactly. Strongmen are props, but. You look at Tuolangi now, he's more bodybuilder, type of shape, but he's done a lot of sprint training as well, from what I've heard in the run up to this, into the Six Nations as well. When he was getting back to fitness, they were putting him on the track.
I think, had he been like he is now in the Six Nations, I think that might have made a bit of a difference. But ho hum. It's England
overall winners 35-3.
And we go again on Saturday against
Argentina.
Much tougher. Much tougher.
But
those boys eat nothing but steak.
Exactly. There's a little bit of Welsh in them. Go the boys.
Yeah.
What was it? Patagonia.
Wasn't the only? Yeah, it's the only Welsh-speaking.
Colony other than in Wales.
I love that. I love that.
A little bit of Welsh in them, but yeah. Argentina will be a tough contest. But now, let's do an overall of every game that's gone so far. Japan Russia first game.
I mean, that was
10. That was the parade said, really. For the hosts. That was piss.
I mean, there was a point where we thought, oh, is it going to be? Is it is the Japan going to slump back down?
Yeah, Russia opened with a try, fair enough, but then Japan just wrestled it and they took
I mean, I've got to admire Russia to some degree because they are really starting to try and stick it as best they can.
Dude,
they're just they're not there yet by any stretch.
To be fair, I'll give it to Lynn. He's trying his damnedest with the Russians, but
another little bit of Welsh.
It's
they get everywhere.
He's trying, but I think the main standout for the Russian boys was a boy called Davidov. He looked very good. He looked cool water. You know what I mean? He looked like he was at home. Almost, at that level of rugby, and a lot of the players for the Russian team don't play anywhere outside of Russia. It's I think there's one or two.
It's interesting, really, because Russia strikes me as a nation that could potentially be really good. They just need the time and they need the exposure.
Dude, I was watching a video the other day. Have you ever heard of a guy called Squidge Rugby?
Yes, I have, actually.
He's a YouTuber, right? Great guy, Welsh guy, legend. He's not biased at all, like most of us, but he brings out the details about he did a backstory of every team that's been in the World Cup in the run up to Japan and the first game, and Russia, I was listening to him speak about the history of Russia, and they used to break up rugby games because they thought they were acts of rebellion and violence.
Bloody hell.
It was so suppressed in Russia as a sport for so long. They only brought it really out as a proper game to play in I think it was the 40s or the 50s.
Jesus.
Even the 60s, I think. When the first international game, they did it years before, but then it was a 40 or 50 year wait for their next international, which is the most
no wonder they're
international
struggling.
team is waited. But it's one
they've got to build from scratch.
And right. As much as Lynn gets stick, and we've all heard the story about Lynn Jones, and and what he what he. Do you hear the story of Lynn Jones asking Shane Williams in training, pulling him aside and asking him how big his dick was? You heard that story, right?
I think I have. Yeah.
I played cricket with Lynn Jones. I think it's his son, because he's he's a local boy to me, and I've seen him at Bryncoke Rugby Club a couple of times. But, it's you look at him and he just doesn't look like... He looks like a typical rugby dad.
Huh.
He's a rugby dad, you look at him and he's he's just here to watch a game, He had his wellies on, he had his fold-up chair, he had his mug of tea.
Yeah.
He was a rugby dad. And as a whole, You know, you wouldn't think he was like, you know, a top tier coach.
No.
But well, he's not a top tier coach, but you know, he's
But
international.
he's an international coach, and credit to him.
Right. So Japan, Russia. You know, Russia had a good like start. Japan just wrestled it and owned it.
Yeah, I mean, if Japan hadn't won that, then it could a little bit more interesting for the nation. I mean, I'm so glad that's not the case, because it's looking like Japan is just thriving on rugby at the moment.
Yeah, well, brilliant. You know, with their what was it, the Super League, you know?
Yeah.
They've had so many big names playing over there, you know, in the last couple of years. Rugby in Japan is really thriving now, and like, you know, they've made the transition, I think, from a tier 2 to a tier 1 nation. Or they are now where Argentina were about 4 years ago.
Yes, I would agree.
You know,
right before that World Cup.
You know, Argentina flipped the switch about 2014. You know, when they were in the World Cup in 2011, Argentina, a lot of people said they were a tier 2 nation. You know, then they went into the Rugby Championship. They were getting tuned. And, you know, we'll come back to Argentina because they were the third game in the tournament, so we'll be covering them shortly. But, you know, Japan are now where Argentina were. But this is where they can't fuck it up. They've got to keep their play. Because all the starting Japanese 15 all play for the same club. They all play for the same club. They've been training.
So you've got that cohesion then. They've been training for years.
They got pulled into a team together. They've trained together for about a year and a half, 2 years. By the way, all credit goes to Squid Rugby for every fact that I throw out in this video, because I've watched him and he knows it all. But they've played together for about a year and a half, you know, in the same club. They've been focused. They've built up to this, and now they went gangbusters in the first game, 30-10. You know, good win, and I think that's that one. You know, pretty much covered. Yeah. Not much more of a talking point than apart from what's it? I'm trying to think what his name is now. Give me a minute. Google will help. Masushimo, is it? I think.
Is it Mashishima?
Mashishima, yeah.
Matsumoshi? It is Mashishima.
Mashishima, yeah. He scored a hat-trick, you know. And then the most Australian-sounding guy I've ever heard, because I think it's actually, you know, I'd be laughing like hell if his relative was actually playing for the Australian cricket team. Labuschagne. He was the other try scorer for Japan that night. So, you know.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? You know, you look at the Japanese team, and it's like a lot of teams in the World Cup. It's a very diverse team. You know, there's obviously a few converts from here and there. But I got to say, I think it's ridiculous that people say, you know, I mean, I get it if it's banter, but how many times have people said, "Oh, the Vunipolas are very English," or "Falatau is very Welsh"?
Funny thing about this, right? I was watching a video the other day, and it was by a guy called 2 Cents Rugby. And
I have heard of him.
He was covering the nationality split between players who were born and raised in their country, and who, like, you know, was qualified for residency, qualified for parents, you know, all that stuff. I was looking at it, and the English had a less foreign team percentage than, like, you know, 70% of the teams in the World Cup. You know, there's only two teams that had a pure, like, you know, homegrown, you know, talent.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Wales and Scotland.
No. Far from it, my dude. It was Uruguay.
Yeah.
And I think it was somebody like won Samoa. Who was it? It was another like tier 2, like tier 3 nation.
Right.
You know, it was another nation like that. You know, like, you're talking, right? Wales had a higher percentage than England for foreign players. But it was one of them ones where Moriarty, born in England, George North, born in England. You know, you're talking people who were born in, you know, on the border or born in England, but they had family who were Welsh.
Yeah. Jamie Roberts has got a bloody English accent.
Yeah, mate, come on. Jimmy Roberts spends half his time in England, so that for Welsh players. Let's be fair. You know,
fair point.
But that's the thing, you know, you look at that, and then you get down to, like, New Zealand, Australia. Australia had, like, something like nearly a 50-50 split. You know, New Zealand nearly had, like, you know, they had, like, a 67% home.
I was going to say, they are pretty damn Polynesian.
It was only, I believe, Samoa and Tonga that had players who applied trade, like, who were locally, you know, homegrown talent. You know, there's no, like... I think there was like half the teams in the World Cup have had, they're about 50-50 split. Ireland haven't got, a lot of homegrown talent from what they've said in that. There's Australia had loads of foreign players. Scotland, Wales, England had a little bit. Russia have got a lot of players who are. But yeah, again, you look at like Russia, they had a lot of players who were from like, who were born in countries that were in the USSR. So the argument there is they're Russian, You get what I mean?
Yeah. In Soviet Russia, rock mauls you.
Fuck's ruck mauls. Yes, Jenkins. Good rugby terminology. Right, rucking a maul. Fucking Jesus.
Right. Moving on.
Moving on. That. Right, let's get to the next couple, short and sweet. Australia, Fiji, one main talking point in that. Australia won it 39-21. Fiji had a game.
I woke up thinking there was going to be an upset. The second I turned the TV on, Australia scored 3 tries.
I was like, oh shit, they're doing it.
Oh shit, no, not this time.
The shoulder tackle in this game that took out the main man for Fiji. They took him out of the game and it destroyed Fiji's chance. It was
it's sad, really, because Fiji. I remember there was a time they really took England to the cleaners in 2015. We really struggled against them.
Yeah, what was it? Reece Hodge was the tackler, wasn't he, for Australia?
Oh, yes, and he's been banned for 6 games.
So it's put him more or less out of the World Cup. But like a quote from him had no knowledge of the new tackle framework. It's like it's your job. You're international rugby players. How can you not know what the tackling framework is?
Yeah, I mean, in Australia, you should know what you're doing. It was just a foolish decision, and he's paying for it. And Australia paying for it.
Mate, it's a whole thing. Again, you expect Australia to beat Fiji, but it was a closer game than a lot of people thought, and it was a thing that affected the game. Fiji would probably be gutted about it because their World Cup's now gone. They're out, I would say. But yeah, their game, they started really well, but they as soon as that Hodge tackle, it was more or less done.
It made for a good watch, didn't it?
It was a good watch,
it was a good watch, good rugby.
It was one of them things that, upset, lol, it's a World Cup, they don't happen often. And,
a lot of potential there.
And we're going to come to 2 big upsets now, but, we'll put a pin in Australia, Fiji, because
enough said,
39-21. The tackle was the main talking point. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. Going into a close game then, France, Argentina, 23-21.
One of the best games of the Cup so far, you asked me.
I'd say so.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, there's 2 teams who were really equally matched.
Yeah, and, a France drop goal. France were... I feel bad for Argentina. I feel, sounding well, so I feel bad for Argentina.
Argentina.
I feel bad for them because, they were coming into this tournament with a lot more of a role than France, because France have looked terrible. France have looked so bad in the last, last 6 months. And
it's so frustrating that you can't predict them.
They found a drop goal from somewhere to win them a game. Not just a drop goal, they won 3-0, it's like 23-21. France had, it's where Argentina were ill-disciplined, France took advantage. And
talking ill-disciplined, we saw what happened after the game when you 2 nations there with passionate players, very, very wound up.
A lot of bravado, you know what I mean?
A lot of bravado, and they were beating the tar out of each other.
Exactly. Absolutely walloping shit out of each other. It's standard.
They were on the floor and you just think, oh, God, here we go.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Lopez's drop goal took that game away from him, won them the game. It was a thriller, and
one could argue, well done, France, for having the vision to,
drop goal and win it and get in the
that's
pocket.
How you win. Yeah, that's how you win World Cup games. That was a World Cup final. They'd be doing backflips.
Waiting for the first reference of Johnny Wilkinson.
Why the hell did you say that like a friggin' snooker commentator?
And that's a bad miss.
Can you imagine that just... And Mr. Wilkinson is lining up. And here comes the drop goal. And that's gone over nicely. God bless Johnny. I haven't seen any drop goals from England yet, but Faz. Oh, actually, I saw one in now. Was it against Ireland? I think it might have been against Ireland. It might
Jenkins,
have been against Ireland or Wales.
tangent.
Sorry, yes.
Tangent,
yes,
right.
back.
France, Argentina, 23-21. Done. France snaking it with a Lopez drop goal. Right. New Zealand, South Africa. Now, this game, I thought South Africa were going to run out eventual winners because of the way they've been playing in the championship up until now. Like, where they got to this game against New Zealand. And the standout player for South Africa, and I think he's been the standout player for South Africa for the last year. If he doesn't get South African Rugby Player of the Year, Colby, I don't know. Because he has been fantastic. He's been a great player for South Africa. He's been, the only other person I could say who's come back from nowhere is Herschel Yankees, because he's been a general on the park. But, Colby played very well against New Zealand, I feel. And,
I thought Faf de Klerk was fantastic.
New
Zealand. He was really, really impressive.
It's like this South African defence and, even their attack. Like, South African defence was solid for the most part. But, New Zealand, the ultimate, locksmith of world rugby, knows how to unlock a defence. They know how to unlock any defence that gets put in front of them.
The thing is, the Abs scored tries from, they weren't impossible tries. Any decent team could have done that. Like, I think it was more a case of the Box lost it because they were doing a lot of good. They pinned him for 20 minutes. One silly handling mistake and boom.
That was it.
That was it. That was it. The Abs were in, and then they go for another mistake because the pressure's on. Then you build the pressure. People make mistakes under pressure.
You look at it, right, and you see the big difference here because it was only 2 tries to 1 in the end, but penalties, 3 penalties for the New Zealanders, only 1 for South Africa. And as much as a lot of people say like New Zealand since the game has become a lot more digital, they've been caught out and things have been it's New Zealand rugby. They have been caught out.
We've had a few choice words for New Zealand, haven't we? So.
Yeah, but it's like they had a lot better discipline. Like South Africa only had 1 penalty. And it's like, well, they only converted 1 penalty. They might have had more, but they weren't in positions where they could get punished for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could see Kieran Reid just chatting to the ref as he does, and you can say what you will about how that influenced the game, but it seemed to work.
And another thing as well, like where South Africa, they dropped goal as well. I think they tried to just apply scoreboard, like, at least stay in the game or, try to chip away, but you can't do that. Like Wales did it against Australia today, but you can't do it against New Zealand. Drop goals don't cut it against New Zealand. No, I don't feel, especially in the last
play of the game. If you're behind by 2 points, that's when
it's a winner. That's when you drop it. But
I think you look at teams who've beaten New Zealand recently. Look at Ireland. They've had the way to beat the Box. It seems is just rush defense like you've never.
The Box or the All Blacks?
Sorry, the Abs, not the Box. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, the principle sort of applies to the Box as well. But rush defense is your friend when it comes to that. If they ain't got the ball, they can't score with it. So retain possession. Don't kick to them. And the Abs, being Southerners, hate Northern tactics. They hate scrums. They hate mauls. Lineouts they'll take. That's fine because they got some really tall beggars. But, they're okay in a scrum. They're absolutely fine. But you compare it to the likes of the Welsh or the English. I mean, you saw
our bread and butter from
exactly. We're used to.
I think it's more the
English,
more the English and Irish type of play than the Welsh play because Wales played a lot of open rugby today.
I really think a nation's sort of climate affects. I think Scotland and Ireland favour the high ball because you get higher wind, you get rain, you get slippery balls. England and Wales, it's dream drag for the mud.
The Irish and the Scottish with slippery balls.
Oh, for God's sake! They've got a lot of slippery balls up that way. Yes.
And anyway, 23-13. It's one of those games that you expect. It's like it could go either way, but you expect a close margin of victory. It's not going to be a blowout unless somebody doesn't turn up.
Yeah, I mean the Box could have done more, but the Abs were just the Abs, weren't they? So...
Abs are the Abs. You can't, even though they had a lull before the tournament, they were. You just cannot write them They were
off.
New Zealand. They were New Zealand. So
they were.
Yeah. Anything further to say on New Zealand, South Africa, Jenks?
I'd just say it wasn't the best box performance I've ever seen.
No.
I think they played with a lot of heart, but it wasn't the best box I've ever seen.
No, far from it. And they, on this examination, I will say must do better next time. Because,
yeah.
Because it was not. They can't say that they're going to win a World Cup with that type of performance every week.
Very good.
They can beat tier 2 nations, but they're not going to beat tier 1s.
Yeah.
They wouldn't beat England, Wales. I think they'd struggle. They'd probably beat Ireland the way Ireland at the minute. But we'll come back to that. Moving on. Italy, Namibia did not see this game.
Nor me. I don't think, to be honest, we really cared. To be brutally honest,
it was
what it was, wasn't it? I mean, Namibia aren't exactly. They're just starting out in the rugby world. They ran a couple in, and good for them. That's just Italy being Italy, but. One thing that's nice is it's good to see Italy get a couple of wins. They beat Russia in a warm up by like 80 points. I mean, for the Italians, just to win something, it's gonna be so good for them.
It's like they scored 3 within the space of 10 minutes. That was like, I think that was either side of half as well. They scored 3 tries within 10 minutes on the either side of half, which is crazy. And then Namibia scored 22 against Italy. That not to take away that they've been drummed, by 25.
But no, they
scored
stuck
22
in.
points.
They, good on them.
Like making a joke about it earlier, I said about it's 2 games in and Namibia haven't conceded 100 points yet. We were doing a set for the the recording, and I said about that, and it's true though. If you look back of Namibia's tournaments in the past, they've conceded I think almost 200 points last World Cup, or the World Cup before, when and they're getting better. They've played 2 toughish games, I would say. They've played South Africa, they've played Italy. They're going against teams now. Well, they've got New Zealand as well to come. But we're talking if Namibia play who Namibia got last. Namibia play Canada. They play Canada. They could win that game. I think if they come out of that game with a victory, that's a successful campaign for them. Because I think unless New Zealand turn them over 100-0, I think they're going to be saying, "Oh yeah, this we didn't get out the pools again, but we qualified. We got to win if they beat Canada." But
and that's where you build from, isn't it?
That's where you build from. One step at a time. Every time with rugby, with little nations not little nations, tier 2 nations, I'd say tier 3.
Yeah.
They need these wins. They need a win in a World Cup to just keep them going. I think because it gets too disheartening. It costs people jobs if they don't get a win in a championship, and I feel bad about it because they're going up against people like Italy are not the best in Europe, but they're not. You put them up against Spain, Romania, Germany, Belgium, Luxembourg.
It makes you argue the point for a lower tier league, doesn't it? Like a European league.
Well,
pretty good.
The Six Nations B, isn't there?
Yeah.
But nothing's televised.
No, but it should be. And when it gets televised, people get into it, and this is why Japan's going so well.
Exactly. It's a thing that we can say about blue in the face, but it'll happen one day. It'll happen one day. Right. Yeah. So Italy and Namibia
with that positive outlook.
47-22 speaks for itself. Italy should have won that game and they did. Right.
Yeah.
Ireland, Scotland, 27-3. Now then. This one I feel is such a disappointing game for Scotland. When you look at everything in the World Cup, Six Nations, the discipline, and the energy levels that Scotland can bring to a game.
I mean, look what they did. Look what they did to us in the Calcutta Cup.
It's like, how can you how can they warrant drawing with England in the Calcutta Cup?
Yeah.
And then go down 27-3 to Ireland. The Scottish go down 27-3 to Ireland.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just disappointing.
I mean, if you've got to feel for them in some way, but then you've got to be furious with. You've got to feel for Vern Cotter because he's worked hard for that team, and then they just fall apart.
Yeah, it's almost heartbreaking for them. It's like it's. But Ireland, did as we expected, and we expected a closer game. I was expecting a game, within 10 points. A Scottish try at least, but
yeah, I mean Scotland had the ability, but Ireland just completely shut down Hogg and bloody hell, Finn Russell. Sorry, we are. Mine went blank, and that shut down their playmakers, and they couldn't do anything about it.
You can't do much. You can't do much about it. Like even in the camp where like a lot of people have been saying about it. Like Laidlaw came out in the press about 3 days ago and he said about there's been a few frank discussions about the game. They've got to pull their finger out. Scotland have got to pull their finger out, and they've got to get a result tomorrow against Samoa. Because at the time of filming, it probably would have already played. But Scotland have got to get a big result against Samoa. Because that might re-kickstart their World Cup. Because if you look at the pool, their pool, they're in with, they could even get in somewhere if Japan mess up, if Ireland mess up, they've got to win 2 and Japan have got to lose.
I mean, let me put it this way: if I was Scotland coming up against the Japanese, seeing how they've just played, then I would be very, very concerned.
It's almost going to be one of those games where it's like, right, boys, we've got to win this. Otherwise, that's it. And they've got to go into every mentality now. Their chance, their life in this World Cup, I think, that's our one. That's gone. That's completely gone.
If they don't turn around now, we could possibly see it go back to the wooden spoon being a competition between Italy and Scotland again.
Yeah, and nobody wants to see that for the progression of home nations, Even France were in that mix before,
Yeah, for quite a while. But, even the Welsh once.
Yeah,
never England, though.
Everybody has their bad stretch, mate. Everybody has their bad stretch. But anyway...
You don't talk about that.
Ireland, I think, with a very structured performance. They weren't polished, which we're actually going to come to next because... Well, not next, but in a couple of games' time, because... we're going to get to yesterday. But yeah, Ireland, good win against Scotland. I think they just need to go out and do their thing. Sexton just... Oh, well, let's see. They say that the key to the games were, key players for Ireland firing. And key players need to fire. And they did. Well, they didn't really, go off gangbusters like they do.
No, but they put in a really solid shift. I think Ireland played to their strengths. Their backs were really solid. The likes of Peter O'Mahony in the line-out were brilliant. Their forwards, Jesus. I mean, the Irish pack is formidable when you've the likes of Tadhg Furlong and Rory Best in there.
Hey, Best played a full 80 against Scotland, did.
And
and he had 100% line-out rate as well.
I tip my hat to Rory Best. I tip my hat to him. He's so good.
They were missing Devin Toner as well.
Yes. Why on earth Joe Schmidt omitted him is beyond.
Well, they were missing him for the first game against Scotland, and he's been left out. But Best still with 100% line-out success. I feel that Scotland. This was more Scotland's ill discipline and bad gamesmanship and bad play than Ireland trouncing them. I think that's a fair.
Scotland lost it as opposed to Ireland won it, basically.
Fair analysis to that game. Scotland lost it more than Ireland wanted to win it. Right, the next 2 games we already covered because that was England, Tonga, and Wales, Georgia. That's done. Russia, Samoa, didn't really watch it. I was in work. I was keeping up with the scores.
Samoa won that, didn't they?
34-9, as expected.
I mean, Samoa, it's good again to see a lower nation do so well.
But, against another lower nation like Russia, who looked, positive in that first game.
Very promising, even.
They're getting better, but Samoa were always going to be a tough team to go up against.
And they are some big boys on that squad. If Tuolangi's brothers play for.
Yeah, it's a big thing for Samoa. They're always going to come out and they're always going to try their damnedest to get a result, and they did. They 34-9. They trounced Russia. No more needs to be said in that.
Well, they said this year they want to try and go for the quarterfinals if they can. I wish them the best because that'll be huge for them.
It will. Now, speaking of huge, The next game was the upset of the tournament until yesterday.
Definitely.
Now, Uruguay beating Fiji 27 points to 30 points to 27.
And winning their third ever World Cup match. I mean, you've got to root for the underdog.
You got to love it. Like, they... I feel bad for them because they played Georgia today as well, but we'll come to that later. They got tuned, yeah. But, they were, saying about nations who winning a game at the World Cup makes their tournament. Uruguay are one of them. Namibia, if they win one, that would be one of them.
See what it meant to
Canada.
Fans. They were acting like they'd won the whole thing.
Yeah, and the passion for that win is unreal. And I just, you see them, the photos of them. They're all, hugging each other. They're all celebrating,
And the best part is you can see photos as well of the Japanese joining in with that.
Yeah, the one thing I want to, point out as well, throughout this tournament, no matter who's been playing, I haven't seen an empty stadium.
No.
It's been packed. It's been packed. I've seen schools at the tournament,
Yeah,
that's
because that's the next generation of Japanese rugby players coming through right there.
Exactly, and it's it's great to see, and I love it. But it was great support for the Uruguayans. Fiji, I'd say they were still rattled from the Australia game.
Just a bit.
Yeah, I feel bad for them.
You said they didn't want to tackle. They didn't want to tackle.
They didn't want to tackle. They didn't want to know. And Fiji tried playing cute rugby, offloads, and it got them. It got them caught. They pinned it down in the last 15, where they didn't play offload in rugby, and they just played set up. They played Northern Hemisphere rugby. Hit the contact area, set up, and recycle ball. They played Northern Hemisphere rugby, and they look better. Go on.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I mean, that's the thing. Fiji in sevens are just dominant. I take on New Zealand and every.
Yeah, running rugby is their bread and butter.
But that doesn't work in 15s.
No, it doesn't. What was it? The stat before the game was, I think it was 12 of the starting 15 were all capped sevens international players.
Jesus.
It's crazy, dude.
That says it, doesn't it?
It says it all. They had a boy who played for, I think it was a boy who played for New Zealand for them. And he got back into the Fiji team through the World Cup, not the World Cup, the Olympic loophole.
Oh, right.
Because if you play international rugby for another nation, and you're born to, say now, this boy played for New Zealand, if he played for Fiji in the Olympics, he qualifies to play for Fiji rugby again. So, he's gone back to his home nation, he can play for them again. You know what I mean? I think it's something like if you have one cap and you haven't played for them in so many years or something, or you can play for B team. I think that qualifies as you're not allowed to go to another nation or something. But if anybody does know which player I'm on about, please put it in the comments and I will find out and I will read it and I will be happy. But 30 points to 27. Uruguay beating Fiji. It is the second biggest upset of the tournament so far.
Absolutely, and huge props to the little guys. They're so happy about it.
It's and a team that's got no foreign players, all homegrown Uruguayan players. I love it, and you like to see a little guy win.
Yeah,
good shit from Uruguay. 30-27. Right, Italy, Canada, 48-7.
Very solid game by the Italians. They look good. They look really good, very strong, very competent.
The current state of Canadian rugby makes me want to cry.
Oh, it's awful, isn't it?
No, but it's they were so good in 2000. They were in 2015. 2015, they looked all right, and now they're just a shell. They're one of them teams that's hit rock bottom, and they could easily, they're one of those teams that were tier 2. That are transitioning to a tier 3 if they're not careful.
Yeah, exactly, and then they won't quite
up,
and then
it's we talked about qualifying, right? Russia, I want to bring this back. Russia only qualified through a loophole.
Oh yeah, the Olympic loophole.
No, not the nationality thing. Russia got in because Romania, Spain, and Belgium all fielded illegitimate players. No, it wasn't. It was either Belgium or Luxembourg. I can't remember. But they all fielded illegitimate players. Russia finished third in the qualifying and then got through because those teams were disqualified. Yeah. So, like, you're talking about teams like that. Like, Russia are scoring more points against teams than Canada, who qualified outright.
Yeah.
It's sad.
You just hope that either a new coach comes in or
Canada
something.
need to beat Namibia. It's it's a must win for both of those, so they don't have a complete.
Yeah.
The fair outcome would be a draw.
Yeah, but I think ultimately, Namibia would probably be all right if they lost to Canada. Whereas if Canada lost to Namibia, it's
it's like it's kind of sad at the minute. For Canadian rugby, it needs to bounce back, and it needs to bounce back in a big way.
On the plus side, another good win for the Italians, though, and good for them.
The Azzurri 2 wins from 2, top of the group at the minute. I'm pretty sure.
Take a picture.
Yeah, 66 points plus 2 bonus points, 10 points.
Good on them.
2 wins, 2 played. And now they got probably the 2 biggest tests. If they pull a win off against South Africa, and if they go through to the quarterfinals, I am buying a ticket to the quarterfinals in Japan, flying myself out, and I'm going to paint myself green, white, and red.
I mean, it would be something, wouldn't it? I mean, imagine if they went one further.
Oh my God, they went. It'd be like Wales in the Euros. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Wales in the Euros of the football. That's what that would be. That would be absolutely
giants. Well, no, that'd be more like Iceland.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Iceland. Yeah.
Giant slayers.
It's crazy, dude. But Italy are doing so well, and I want them to keep going. I want to see them go far as they can.
Yeah, I like the Azzurri. They're a decent team as well. They never scrap. They never bitch.
Sometimes they're
perhaps a bit passionate.
Not passion ties into it, but like the discipline on the park lets them down. But 48-7, they were disciplined. They won a game outright. It could have been a potential banana skin from banana peel.
Yeah.
Banana skin from, but they got it. Yeah. 48-7. Didn't look.
Connor will be happy about Connor O'Shea rather be happy about.
Yeah. So we covered the next one. Then that was England USA. We covered that. Argentina and Tonga.
Exactly what we thought. Really.
One of those games didn't really,
Yeah.
Didn't really watch. It was.
Didn't really watch it. Knew how it was going to go. By the sounds of it, a bit of a spirited performance from Tonga, but nothing really to write. That's a midweek in the afternoon on ITV4 kind of game, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it's there was a shoulder charge in the game as well. I'm pretty sure that there was a talking point, but it's one of those.
I mean, those Argentina boys eat nothing but steak. I think they'll shake it off.
The big boys, and 28-12. No qualms about that result.
Yeah, it's pretty much what you'd expect, isn't it?
Now I think we'll just put a pin in Argentina Tonga 28-12.
Yeah.
Japan Ireland. Wow.
Game of the friggin' tournament.
With just so many talking points for this game.
I don't know what happened. Ireland. There was a lot of back and forth, and 1 minute Ireland were on their 22, then the game swung back, and Japan were on their 22, and then suddenly Ireland struck, and you thought, here we go. I was watching it just before I went to work. I thought, yeah, they'll start. Nope. Something the Japanese do. I think their discipline must be. I mean, as a culture, the Japanese are very disciplined people. A lot of respect, all that kind of thing. I think that comes over in their rugby.
Man, it's crazy. It's the way Japan now, like I don't want to take anything away from them, but Ireland looked terrible.
Oh,
like Japan had such a spirited game, but Ireland looked actually terrible. Joe Schmidt has had so much stick in the press because of this. Like,
you asked me. I think Schmidt's lost the room.
I don't think he's lost the room. Like
I don't think he's lost it.
He's lost the support of the Irish public, no doubt.
Yeah, definitely. And you lose the support of the public.
First half, right? You go in at half time, and you've got 12-3 up on the board, and you look at it this way. You're going, right, we got the lead, nothing stupid, it's 12-3. Let's just go out, get another 2 tries. Let's finish this game. Let's go and have some sake. Let's go and watch a sumo match, and let's have a laugh. And
or assuming that's what one does in Japan,
they were already they were already in the karaoke bar before the end of the game. That's my thought.
Yeah,
they were already
they were.
their heads were already in the karaoke bar. One of the boys was already thinking he was going to sing, a very Irish rendition of Country Roads, and they got turned over because they were leading 12-3 and they threw it away.
And I know the fields of Athenry might low lie, but no bloody team right now.
It's just Schmidt needs to think. He needs to get the camp, and he needs to get the camp going. So... No, but he left out Sexton for God's sake. Your main playmaker. I was saying earlier, he put Joey Carberry in,
yeah,
and you started with Carty, you replaced him with Carberry, yeah, and you left Sexton out of the game. I would have started with Carberry and then left Sexton on the bench as your plan, as your main guy, impact sub. But they didn't do it. They got turned over, and Schmidt only has himself to blame.
Yeah, I agree.
He hasn't.
I like Schmidt as a person. I think he's a very good coach.
Yes,
but I think he should never have announced his retirement the way he did, because if I was a player and I think, he's going at the end, I cannot. I think he's committed, but I don't think he's utterly committed. Not like Gatlin, not like Eddie Jones.
The only reason why Gatlin's saying he's going, he announced he was going before the Six Nations. He announced it a while back.
Yeah.
He said, after the next World Cup cycle, I'm gone. And
that's fine, because he's been with Wales since time began.
We won him a Six Nations for that. We won him a Grand Slam. We said, here, have this parting present. That's your Grand Slam. Imagine being able to go to him and go, here, have a World Cup win as well. That's the equivalent of a treble in the English, the football. When United won the treble, winning, it's bigger than that actually. It's like winning the Euros and then winning the World Cup, but in a less of a turnaround. Within a year.
I really think there is no reason Wales couldn't do it. They've got the mentality, they've got the passion.
The chance for Schmidt having a ride off into the sunset moment with Ireland, that window is closing quickly.
That went with the last Irish Grand Slam.
No, but for this World Cup, because he's going after the World Cup. The chance for them to give him a send off in the right way, as he should as a coach, is closing quickly.
Because he's a very fine coach.
The window is closing very quickly, and they need to find some form. They need to keep Sexton in the game, and they need to let him command the back line. Because if Schmidt has Sexton, he has the team. If he loses him and he pisses him off, that's it. He can fucking just pack his bags, go home, pack up his house in Ireland, and fuck off. Because
it seems now that Ireland don't have the used to, there was a time where there was Ronan O'Gara, Johnny Sexton, Brian O'Driscoll, Paul O'Connor, all on the same squad. Now you've got Rory Best, who's going.
Yeah.
Johnny Sexton, who's getting past it, and Peter O'Mahony, tied furlong.
Well, the Wexford Bull, Yeah. But, you're talking about a player there in Tide Furlong who is injury prone to shit.
Yeah,
it's the hazard of the job, though, because he's an impact runner, he's an impact prop.
He's a monster.
He's huge, but, you're talking about it, and you're like, he's going to get hurt. He's taking contact, 9 times out of 10. You'll be fine, but it's that 1 time out of 10, and you're out for 6 months, and that's a game. You lose your momentum.
I think Ireland are kind of on that downswing now, where you're going to have to recycle, get some blood in, which Schmidt's tried to do, but it's not really worked.
No.
The boys are good, but they haven't had enough time. They should have maybe brought them in at the beginning of the Six Nations. But then I think the spiral started when we just clobbered them at the start of the last Six Nations. I think that really shocked them.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's been downward from there on.
It's they're on a downward swing at the minute, and they've either got to start apex and that swing and go back up. They've got to reach a lowest point now, which I think they have in Japan. They can either go lower, and they play Russia next.
Oof, they should. All logic should say they should, but there's always this but, isn't there?
If Ireland lose a second game in a row, if they lose another game and it makes it 2 in a row.
Well, they'd go out, wouldn't they?
They'll be out, and it'll be the biggest win in Russian rugby history, probably World Cup history, because they weren't even supposed to be there. And for two, Schmidt would probably just pack his bags and leave. Just then.
Yeah,
he would just go. He wouldn't see out the tournament. He'd do a
I mean,
Rob Howley, bet on something and get sent home.
I bet he had a lot of money on the Jap. I bet he had a lot of money. But
a lot of money on the Japs, Jesus.
I mean, England might have had that disastrous exit from our own World Cup, but my God, even we did better than that.
Yeah. So, enough slating the Irish and Japan.
I mean, I want them to get better. I do want Ireland to get better because they're a quality side.
Like
when they want to be.
The only thing that annoys me about all this coverage about this upset, it's not a great win by Japan. It's shit tactics from Ireland. They take too much away from the Japanese because the Japanese played a fantastic game and played so much good. So, like, you know, Leach at the front. You know, you had so many good players like Masashima again. He played a vital role. What's his name? What was it? He's 38. He played in the second row for the Japanese for 68 minutes, and I was like, what? You know,
fair play.
How old are you? Like, how long are you gonna actually keep going? He's like, you know, you can tell the name out by anything because I need to just find his name. I'm trying to find it in my notes.
It's Japanese diet, isn't it, as well? A lot of the Asian food very healthy.
Hey, dude, thing is, right? He's not Japanese. You can tell he's not. He's like, I'm trying to think.
Caucasian, is he Polynesian?
Yeah, no, he's Caucasian. He's I think he's a South African by actual. You
wonder how a South African plays for Australia, but same way CJ Stander plays for Ireland, I suppose.
Like, look at this. Like, Rob Carney had a 5. Keith Earls had a 5. Gary Ringrose had a 4, dude.
Oh, who's the lowest?
Rory Best tied for with a 4. Ian Henderson with a 4. Peter O'Mahony had a 5. Van der Fleer had a 4. CJ Stander had a 4.
Anyone have a 3?
No, nobody lower than that.
Oh, good. So, even so, that is painful, isn't it?
That's tough to read, dude.
Yeah, that's tough to listen to. Ooh.
I'm just looking at the teams right now. Come on, give me something. Right. Right. Key guy in the Japanese ranks, Tamura. You know, 10. He was brilliant. Yeah. Held his nerve on a couple of kicks. But let's see. Who's the boy I'm on about? Thompson. That's the boy. Thompson. Plays
Where's he
4.
from?
Plays 4. I think he's South African. I'm not too sure. But I thought he was South African. He might be from somewhere else.
Or maybe Kiwi convert.
Maybe. But, you know, he's 38 years old. And, you know, it's... Come on. It's
slightly magnificent, really, isn't it?
He plays how many minutes? Like, he plays
68 minutes.
68 minutes. Thompson, Japan Rugby. Luke Thompson. He's a Kiwi.
Ah, that's why.
Yeah, he's a Kiwi.
But it's funny today. It's a matter of proximity, isn't it? Like I heard today, you heard the Welsh anthem, and then you hear the Aussie one. The Aussies are sung the bloody Welsh.
Dude, he's been playing for Japan since 2007.
My God, 2007.
He's been he's 67 appearances and he scored 45 points for Japan. Thompson. You know, he qualified for residency and he made his debut in 2007. He qualified and he made his debut against Hong Kong. That's crazy, dude. Like, you know, he's been playing for 12 years at the international stage.
Well, is that every game covered?
Not yet. I think we got ones from today. One more from yesterday, and Georgia and Uruguay. South Africa, Namibia, 57-3.
That was a derby, but
do we need to cover it?
No, crunch. No. That's the only word I can think.
And the only other round I got is Georgia, Uruguay, and
which I thought the Uruguayans might put up. I thought they would have put up more of a fight,
but it just shows the current state of Fijian rugby.
I know. I mean, if Georgia did that, if Georgia played Fiji,
do we dare call the upset of the tournament?
What, Georgia take on?
Who did Georgia take on, mate? Who are Georgia in the group with? They're in a group
Australia?
with Uruguay, Australia, Wales, Wales have already beaten them. So who am I calling the upset against?
Against the Aussies.
They play Australia on the 11th of fucking October, and it's the their last group game. You know, it's like
could be. I guess.
Is it the last group game? It is. It's Georgia's last group game. You know. Georgia and Australia's last group game. So,
well,
if Georgia beat Australia, dude, that would be massive.
I think Michael Cheika might just throw himself over the balcony if that happened.
Cheika would go through the glass, down so many flights of stairs, and we should have said he would chickadee checker himself before he wrecker himself. But no, yeah, it's you know, they beat Uruguay well, 33-7. Georgia. You know, it was as expected, but Uruguay should have really fronted up. I didn't really catch that. I was in bed. You know, I woke up just
one of those 5 a.m. jobbies.
No, I was up just in time to watch, you know, Wales start losing their lead. Because I messaged you like, what the fuck's happening?
That's right. I just started.
You're like, dude. So, right, we covered every game. You know, let's look at the pools and where people are going to finish. So, current state of Pool A is Japan are first with Ireland, then Samoa, Scotland, then Russia. I can't see Russia moving off the bottom. They're going to stay there. I'm probably going to see it as it is right now, probably. But
I would agree.
The only thing I would change is Scotland would be above Samoa. Scotland 3, Samoa 4, Russia 5. Japan probably winning the group. You know, either Japan or Ireland. Japan and Ireland are going through.
Well, Japan have got Scotland next, haven't you?
You know, Japan have got Samoa and Scotland, and
they can win both of those.
Yeah, they can. Like, you know, nothing is you know, impossible for the Japanese right now. They can win anything, and I feel that they turn over one, and that's them. You know, they can match their best record at a World Cup, but I think they would do better than what they did in 2015, because they were the first team. You know, you know about it. They were the first team ever to go out after winning 3 pool games.
Yeah, I mean, it's so good to see a host nation do so well, especially a developing one. You know, and the Japanese people have just embraced it so much. You just can't help but wish them well.
You want them to do well. Right, so that's Pool A, I'd say. Ireland and Japan going through.
Yeah.
Pool B, there's 2 clear-cut ones. You know, Italy are currently top. You know, South Africa
take a photo.
Second. Then New Zealand, then Canada, and then Namibia. So,
yeah, I think that's pretty obvious. I think it's going to be
New Zealand and Italy are the undefeated teams in that pool.
I mean, unless there's some kind of massive upset, it all depends on what.
It's going to be New Zealand, South Africa, I think.
It should be New Zealand, South Africa, unless Italy upsets South Africa.
Yeah,
which would be incredible.
So I'm going to say New Zealand probably finished the pool top, then probably South Africa, then Italy, then I'd probably say Canada, then Namibia, but you know that's
but you never know.
That's, you know, that's cats amongst the pigeons at the minute, right?
Yeah.
Now
Pool C,
England are top at the minute, you know, maximum points. You know, Argentina second, then France, then the US, and then Tonga. So
I'd say Tonga and US would swap places.
The US going to finish bottom, you think?
Yeah, I think the US are going to finish below Tonga.
Oh, fair. You know, it could happen. You know, it might happen.
I think we'll finish top, but
fourth and fifth are more or less concrete.
Yeah.
England are going to win the group. That's
I'd say
they're going to win the group. They're going to win the group. You know.
I mean, I was looking at our last scores. I mean, we had a clean sweep of Argentina in the back garden with a B side and Dylan Hartley.
Yeah.
and Mike Brown
and Dylan Hartley.
Sorry, Dylan.
Dill, just let us know what your favourite biscuits are for a hearing. We would love to know. Because let's be fair, how many hearings has Dylan Hartley had in the last, 2 years of his career?
He's a naughty boy, isn't he?
I wonder how many he's had in his career. Jesus shit.
Christ, yeah, no wonder he's got cauliflower ears.
Oh, God.
But no, I mean, it depends, because last time we played France, we beat them 44-8. But then we don't know what French side is going to turn up.
No, that's true. The age-old saying, which France will turn up.
It's the only game I can't watch, and I have this sinking feeling, oh, God.
Right. I'm going to say England win the group. Then I'm going to say Argentina are going to go through.
Yeah, I'll stick with that.
and then France, then Tonga, then the US. That's going to be it in Pool C. Right, Pool D.
Pool D.
The Welsh currently sitting top, not max points though, only 1 bonus point, so 9 points there. Then the Aussies, they've got 2 bonus points. They had a bonus point for today, so that leaves them on 6 points. Then Georgia on 5 points, Uruguay on 4, and Fiji on 2. Fiji is staying bottom. I'm sorry, I want them to stay bottom for the reason being that Uruguay deserve not to finish bottom.
Fair point.
But
Georgia,
Uruguay have got Wales and Australia to play.
Oof.
They could well finish bottom, but 4 and 5 is Uruguay and
it
Fiji.
depends if Georgia beats Fiji, doesn't it?
Georgia should beat Fiji.
Yeah, based on their current form.
Yeah,
definitely. Unless Fiji discovers some form and beat Georgia.
Unless Georgia pull off the upset of the year against Australia. And that's a bad mess. Just rubbed my mic. Sorry about that.
but no,
yeah,
I think it's pretty obvious. Wales and Australia.
It's going to be Wales, Australia, and then the crazy tier 2 party that happens below us is going to be I'd say Georgia finishing 3rd. I want Uruguay, and I want it to stay as it is, but
yeah, it pretty much stays.
Fiji are either going to finish 5th or 3rd. They're not going to finish 4th. I feel they're either going to give up on their campaign and just say, right, worst campaign ever.
They've really not had it this year, have they?
No, they've got unlucky. They started so well against the Aussies, but remember, Fiji have got Wales's number. 2007. Let's not forget that. But Wales should go through.
Yeah, they should.
Look at it this way: Fiji beat Wales, England, Wales quarterfinal.
Oh, it's scintillating, isn't it?
Or if Fiji don't beat Wales, Wales, England, final.
I mean, what's handy is that we can now face, if we top our team, we'll probably face the Wallabies, which is great because Eddie knows how to beat Michael Checker every single turn.
Of course he knows how to beat Checker. Of course he does. It's like, it's one of the people who's got Checker's number. Yeah. It's like
Checker's a very angry man, and Eddie knows just how to wind him up.
Look at it this way: Gatlin's got Checker's number at the minute. He hates that he's a Kiwi and he's got his number. But imagine another Aussie got his number, and he's managing a different nation rather than his home nation, and he beats them in a World Cup that they could win.
Oof.
They will be pissed.
Yeah. I mean, you might get sacked. You never know.
Doubt it, but we can live in hope.
We can live in hope.
Live in hope.
So,
right. So I think that's covered everything.
I'm getting tired and I've got work.
Yeah, I know, my dude. But yeah, that wraps it up. I think that covers more. That's every game. We got one game tomorrow, Scotland, Samoa, which we've already covered. Then the next 2 games after that is France, US, New Zealand, and Canada. I think we can call out right winners in all of those. I think Scotland have got to win tomorrow. But I think Samoa are going to test them. Yeah. You could say it was a game of the SS, but...
yeah, I mean, Samoa could. I mean, Scotland might recover some form, but Samoa could.
Samoa really could. They got the tools, just got to know how to use them. And the next 2 games got France, USA. France should win that, but imagine the US win it. That'd be funny as hell. Depends which France turn up. And then New Zealand, Canada. I'm putting New Zealand by 70.
At least.
New Zealand could post the biggest score in the Rugby World Cup's history.
What, you mean see a fabled 120?
Imagine they scored over 100 points in the World Cup.
The mind reels, doesn't it?
It makes you think. It makes you scared. But anyway, we'll wrap it up there, Jenks. We'll probably pick this up after.
Well, yes. We've got our biggest pool game on Saturday, so
we might pick it up after the Wales-Fiji game, or after the biggest upset of the World Cup, where Georgia beat Australia.
If that happens, you heard it here first.
You heard it here first. Georgia by 10.
We'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, I've been Rhodders. That has been Samwise Jenkins. Thank you for joining us for the podcast. If you stuck out for the whole hour and 40 minutes of it. 45-minute limit, Jenkins.
Whoops.
Lol. But yeah, next one will be short because obviously we're not covering the whole freaking World Cup. It will be short because we're not covering,
Well, it'll be less teams, won't it?
less teams to cover, and we don't have to, go into as much detail. Well, apart from the England-Wales game. But yeah, guys, I've been Rhodders. That's been Sam. We will see you next time for another Cross Borders broadcast. Thank you very much. I've been Rhodders. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.